Hello everyone. I'm Ted. And today we will be continuing with Chapter 6. Selection. Let's start. Tests as selection tools, advantages, and disadvantages. Tests are useful selection devices in that they uncover qualifications and talents that cannot be detected otherwise. They can be used to predict how well one would perform if one is hired, why one behaves the way one does, what situational factors influence employee productivity, etc. Tests also provide unbiased information that can be put to scientific and statistical analysis. However, tests suffer from sizable errors of estimate. Most psychological tests also have one common weakness, that is, we cannot use scales which have a known 0 point and equal intervals. An intelligence test, for example, starts at an arbitrary point, where a person may not be able to answer questions properly. This does not mean that the person is totally lacking in intelligence. Likewise, a person who is able to answer all the 10 questions correctly cannot be called twice as intelligent as one who is able to answer only 5 questions correctly. If the test has commenced at some other point, where there were easier questions, their scores might have been different. Tests also fail to elicit truthful responses from testees. To compound the problem further, test results are interpreted in a subjective way by testers, and unless these testers do their homework well, the results may not be reliable. Moving next. Selection interview. Interview is the oral examination of candidates for employment. This is the most essential step in the selection process. In this step, the interviewer tries to obtain and synthesize information about the abilities of the interviewee and the requirements of the job. Interview gives the recruiter an opportunity to size up the interviewee's agreeableness, ask questions that are not covered in tests, obtain as much pertinent information as possible, assess subjective of the candidate facial expressions, appearance, nervousness, and so forth. Make judgments on interviewee's enthusiasm and intelligence. Give to the candidate regarding the company, its policies, programs, etc., and promote goodwill towards the company. Moving next. Types of interviews. The non-directive interview. In a non-directive interview, there are questions as they come to mind. There is no specific format to the questions, can take any direction. The interviewer asks broad, open-ended questions such as "tell me more about what you did on your," allows the applicant to talk freely with a minimum of interruption. Difficulties with a non-directive interview include keeping it job-related and obtaining comparable data on various applicants. The directive or structured interview. In the directive interview, the recruiter uses a predetermined set of questions that are clearly job-related. Since applicant is asked the same basic questions, comparison among applicants is easier. Structured questions improve the reliability of the interview process, eliminate biases and errors, and may even enhance the ability of a company to withstand legal challenges. On the negative side, the whole process is somewhat mechanical, restricts the freedom of interviewers, and may convey disinterest to applicants who are used to more flexible interviews. Also, designing a structured interview may take a good amount of time and energy. The situational interview. One variation of the structured interview is known as the situational interview. In this approach, the applicant is confronted a hypothetical incident and asked how he or she would respond to it. The applicant's response is then evaluated relative to pre-established benchmark standards. The behavioral interview. The behavioral interview focuses on actual work incidents, as against hypothetical situations in the situational interview, in the applicant's past. The applicant is supposed to reveal what he or she did in a given situation, for example, how he disciplined an employee who was smoking inside the factory premises. Stress interview. In stress interview, the interviewer attempts to find how applicants would respond to aggressive, embarrassing, rude, and insulting questions. The whole exercise is meant to see whether the applicant can cope with highly stress-producing, anxious, and demanding situations while at work, in a calm and composed manner. Such an approach may backfire also, because the typical applicant is already somewhat anxious in any interview. So, the applicant that the firm wants to hire might even turn down the job offer under such trying conditions. Group discussion interview. In this type of interview, groups rather than individuals are interviewed. The interviewees are given certain problems and are asked to reach a specific decision within a particular time limit. The applicants enter into group discussions, knowing that the interview is a test, but do not know which qualities are being measured or tested. A few observers watch the activities of the interviewees: those who take a lead in the discussion, those who try influencing others, those who summarize and clarify issues, and those who speak effectively. The assumption underlying this type of interview is that the behavior displayed in the solution of the problem is related to potential success in the job. The object is to see how well individuals perform on a particular task or in a particular situation. Panel or board interview. In a typical panel interview, the applicant meets with 3 to 5 interviewers who take turns asking questions. After the interview, the interviewers pool their observations to arrive at a consensus about the suitability of the applicant. The panel members can ask new and incisive questions based on their expertise and experience and elicit deep and meaningful responses from candidates. Such an interview could also limit the impact of personal biases of any individual interviewer. On the negative side, as an applicant, a panel interview may make the candidate feel more stressed than usual. Moving next. Interviewing mistakes. The halo effect. Under this type of error, one marked characteristic of the candidate, either favorable or unfavorable, may be allowed to dominate the appraisal of his entire personality. Physical appearance, his brilliant scholastic record, his fluency, or lack of it in language, experience of living abroad, or experience as a sportsman may create a halo effect. The interviewers should assess the whole of the candidate's personality and should not be led away by any one trait or achievement. He should remember that good candidates come in all shape, size, ages, education, religion, caste, regionality. Leniency. When a candidate is rated by 2 people, their ratings may be different. One may show consistent leniency by giving him high scores, the other may consistently rate him by giving low scores. Leniency is usually associated with lack of confidence and interest in rating. Toughness may be the result of exaggerated expectation, lack of contact with people, and general rigidity of personality. Candidate order error. Sometimes the interviewer might have rated an applicant poorly, following the interview of a very favorable or unfavorable candidates, an anomaly known as candidate order error. The order in which you interview applicants can also affect how you rate them. Projection. Error of projection arises when an interviewer expects his own qualities, skills, values in an applicant. And therefore, he may select the candidates who very much resemble him in age, appearance, manners, opinion, voice, and background. When supervisors or managers interview the candidate, there is very possibility of this error being done. Stereotyping. This type of error occurs when the interviewer allows himself to be unduly influenced by associating a particular personality trait with a person's origin or cultural background, and that kind of stereotyping/generalizing ultimately determining the scores of a candidate. For example, feel that candidates from Bihar may find it difficult to read, write, and speak English language and hence not select them at all. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. This video is brought to you by Bookstune. Like this video to encourage us. Share this video to spread the knowledge. And subscribe to this channel for latest update.